going to call this special meeting to order at this moment. We'll take a quick roll call. We do have council member Spoor that will not be here tonight. All other council members I see are present. Can I have a motion to excuse council member Spoor?
I'll make the motion. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to excuse council member Spoor.
I'll second it.
We got a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries. Okay, then we will go on to approval of the agenda.
I make the motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
We got a first and second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries. So we will move on to current business. Fire service and pool discussion. Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, council members, for your attendance. I also see that there's a lot of people in attendance in the crowd, and I just want to say it's great that we have our public here to see what's going on. It's good that they're interested in what our government is doing. So today we're having a special meeting, and the discussion is going to be covering the fire services and the pool. And this meeting is scheduled to last for 1 hour between 5 and 6, and then we'll have our general council meeting starting at 6 o'clock. The key items that we're going to be discussing today, or the council will be discussing, are ballot measures, annexation, and the pool. And what I really want to focus today on is the ballot measure section. However, I will be covering the annexation and pool with the council. Our whole intent or our desire for today is for the council to give the city or staff guidance on the ballot measures, on what specific ballot measure does the council want us to pursue regarding annexation. So although we are going to be talking about annexation and the pool, I want to hone in and focus on the ballot measures because that's going to set the foundation for us to move forward, within annexation and any other project that we might have regarding a separate vote. And I'll be getting into that soon. So first off, I'm going to cover annexation just briefly, but I really want to cover some things to get a lay of the land to say so that everybody is informed as far as what is annexation. So currently the city doesn't have its own fire department. The city has been contracting with Adams County District 5 for many years for its fire services, and its contract outlines the services and costs related. Earlier this year, the council sought we are seeking a desire to annex into the Adams County District 5 district. What does that mean? It means that we no longer have to have a contract for those fire services. We will be absorbed into the fire district, and city residents will pay directly to the district for fire services. So that's what annexation is in a nutshell. It has some benefits. It increases our economies of scale. It combines our resources, makes it a stronger organization as far as fire services are concerned. It provides long-term sustainability, a stronger structure for growth in equipment and in changing of demands through our times, stronger staffing. We don't have to compete with creating our own fire department. And then there's the districts we have to compete as far as manpower is concerned, considering we are a small community. And it does develop a stronger relationship and a more one district, one mission, one focus group instead of two separate entities at the same time. So that is annexation. And then we also have the pool. And a quick recap for the pool. The pool has been closed for a number of years now. We all know this. And we've reviewed the pool, and it obviously needs to be repaired in order for it to be fixed. We have spoken with NAC, which is the contractor that we had used last year, and we discussed the pool and different options. The cost for the minimum repair for the pool last time to repair the pool responsibly was $3.5 million. Since talking to them, obviously that price has increased. I don't have an exact number tonight for the council. However, I would anticipate the cost to repair the pool at the bare minimum, yet responsibly, to be somewhere around 3.75 to 4 million, approximately. That's what I would say right around there. I do recommend that we do repair it responsibly and not just, for lack of a better words, patch job and repair the liner or leaks. I think it does need a full repair regarding the pipes, equipment, the plumbing infrastructure and all that. That would be my recommendation as far as what's the most responsible way to do that. We have talked about this in the past through our council meetings regarding the pool. We can continue to talk about the pool in the future to really hone in on what exactly we want our pool to look like. There are different trains of thought between our community. One train of thought is get the pool fixed, repaired responsibly, and get it up and running as quickly as we can. There's another train of thought within our community that says, this is going to be our pool for the next 20 years, then let's make some updates to it so that it can last and it could be something we could be proud of for 20 years. Those are just things to consider. As far as the ballot measures, annexation obviously requires a vote. And right now, the timeline for annexation is April of 2027. That is when it's going to be placed on the ballot. We have had ongoing discussions with the council about the potential of holding back some of that money, or what will that look like? What will the ballot measures look like as a whole? And tonight, I hope that we can determine a path forward and which ballot measure we want. I've been speaking with Spencer and other people within our staff, and these are the options that we have came up with. So the first option would be 2 items on 1 vote. This is something that we have spoken about. So in April of 2027, when this goes on the ballot, it would be 1 vote for 2 separate things. It would say something along the lines of the city will annex into the fire district and the city will retain a certain portion of their initial levy. So 2 issues for 1 vote. That's one thing, one option that has been brought up. This places 2 issues on the ballot. This could seem a little bit confusing. However, if we explain it, perhaps not. This could risk annexation. However, we have had the public affairs consultant here before at one of our meetings, and she said that she has had success doing it that way as well. It's something to consider. So that's option 1, is 2 items, 1 vote. The second would be 1 ballot, 2 separate votes. That would mean in April of 2027, there's a vote that says the city shall annex into the fire district, yes or no, and then there'll be another separate vote that says should the city retain a portion or the city is choosing to acquire a levy for the pool, yes or no. So 1 ballot, 2 different votes. And then lastly, there would be 2 ballots, 2 different votes. That means we completely separate the issues altogether. In April 2027, we go strictly after annexation, only annexation, and then sometime at a later date, we go after another project such as the pool on a different ballot. So 2 different ballots, 2 different votes on each ballot. So those are the 3 options that we have to present to the council today. We hope that we can have some discussion and dialogue surrounding them, and we can determine a clear path forward.
The last one you said, the 2 options would be do the pool in April, and then that other one, you didn't mention a date, that would be for November for the pool?
So, yeah, so currently annexation is set for April, and then we would have to determine when would be the second ballot, potentially August or November of 2027.
The earliest could be August if we did them 2 separate, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, August.
So we could do 1 in April for fire annexation and 1 in August for pool, right?
That is an option, yes.
Okay,
So my comments are the constituents are asking, why are you going to wait so long to do both items?
Mm-hmm.
And we should explain to you all why that separation, maybe to relieve some anxiety of the voting block so that we can ensure that we provide the right message, answer all of your questions by trying to stack all those items on 1 ballot. A majority of you, over 50%, are wanting the pool. but we need to message better so that we can get a larger voter block, more buy-in from you, the constituents, to give you your pool. You, the taxpayer, are the ones going to have to pay for it. We'll get the project done, but we need your support and your dollars to make that happen. And we just got to do a better job, Mr. Mayor, and getting that message out to you.
I agree.
If you want it, you got to vote yes.
There is a November election this year. I know last year, the discussions were like June and July, and it was a stretch to get that onto the ballot for November. So I don't think that's a realistic option for this year.
The deadline to have anything on for the November election was to have a resolution into the county by August 4th.
Okay, so
passed it.
definitely not an option
Right.
for November.
The deadline has passed.
There is also sometimes a February election.
That is correct.
So February is possibly an option or no?
Yes, that is an option. So February is an option as well. So that option would look like, currently the timeline for annexation is in April. An option, and I'm just speaking out loud, perhaps move annexation to February, perhaps not, or perhaps have the pool on February, perhaps not. What would that look like? If we were to have the pool on February, and that goes to vote, the voters are gonna have to vote yes or no, and obviously that's gonna be a tax increase to them. They're gonna have to understand that. And then at the same time, in April comes the annexation, which, like we have all discussed, there is an increase in tax in that too. So we have to consider that. We have to consider, is there a risk to annexation if we were to do something, let's say in February? Would that jeopardize it?
I think the risk to that annexation, like we've talked quite a bit already, it's all in the citizens, right? How we educate the citizens, right? So we know they're gonna be paying 25 cents per thousand for the annexation for the fire department. Okay, we had figured roughly, if it was 2.5 million, would be about 25 cents for the ballot for the pool, right? That 25 cents is not gonna work. It's gonna be more than that, because if we're at 3.7, we might be flirting around 35 cents, okay? So the public needs to know what we're into, right? So if we put it both on that ballot and the annexation does not pass, that means that the city is paying out of our pocket for the next few years. What is it, Spencer? 300,000-400,000?
Yeah, about three.
About 300,000. So that's what we're saying. We don't want to take that risk of having to take that out of our pocket, because we are only paying 65 cents right now. We're going to be paying 90 cents. We're already paying because of this new contract with the fire department. Now, I think if we put both on the ballot, I'm going to go back to what Liz told us in our meeting, because I was against it, but I'm kind of for it right now. I think it's all about educating the public. If we educate them well between now and before the vote, I think we can get past, because we got momentum right now. Look at who we got right here. So we've never really, when it comes to something like this, educated the public. We had meeting pools, but it was just for us.
Right.
And it was just hearsay throughout the whole town. Now, if we have some kind of a town hall meeting, whatever kind of meeting, whatever you want to call that meeting, we get together with you guys and we tell you, look, it's 25 cents per thousand for the annexation. You're going to pay on a $400,000 house, you're going to pay $100 a year. What's $100 a year? $15, $16, $17 a month, right? So on the annexation for the pool, you're going to pay 35 cents. I'm just using numbers. So on $400,000 home, you're going to pay 140. Divide that by your 12 is going to give you the number, right? Which is around 50, what is that? 18 bucks or so, whatever that number is. So the numbers are really low. That's why I think educating the public on both of these is very, very important, because most of the time we go out there, we put something on the ballot, and there's no information out there. It's a bunch of hearsay, just what we're saying, and we're the ones that get beat, to be honest with you, because we make the decisions here, nobody shows up. We make the decisions, it doesn't pass, and it all comes back on us. So that's what we want to discuss today. Do we just do the annexation for the fire department? 25 cents, we know what the number is, okay? You're gonna pay, if your house is $400,000, you're paying $100 a year. Divide that by 12, that's what you get. Now, on the annexation for the pool, it's the same thing. It's not bad, really, because if we educate you well, it's gonna be, say 20 bucks, it's not gonna be 20 bucks, say 15 bucks, 18 bucks per month for the pool. That's information that you guys need to have. Now, I'm talking on a $400,000 home. If your home is worth less, it's less. If your house is worth more, you're gonna pay a little bit more. So the discussion here today is, what do we wanna do? What do we wanna risk? Because we don't wanna risk that money coming out of our budget, because if the annexation doesn't pass, once again, we're in $300,000 a year out of the budget because it didn't pass. I think that number right there of $100 is very, very low. And I think the number for the pool is very, very low.
Be higher.
Higher than that.
I think so. Higher than the 3.7, because that's what you said it was, that offer had expired.
So 3.75, that's just my approximate guess based off of, so initially it was 3.5 million, and that was for the bottom option, but that was to replace the infrastructure as well. Now, the consultant obviously said that the price is going to go up. They quoted us around 5.28% per year of an increase. So that estimates roughly between 375 and 4 million. That's why I'm giving that number.
Okay.
If we want to be truly safe, I would say 4 million is probably a good number for the bare minimum. For the bare minimum. Now, but that's just to repair it as it is. And like I said earlier, there is some public opinion out there that would want to see a little bit more if this is going to be our pool for 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, and I agree with what Angel is saying. I feel like we do need to have like a town hall meeting where we do like a Q&A, but the thing is that we don't have actual information to share. We would need an exact number, and are we repairing or are we replacing? Because we can educate all we want, but if we don't have real numbers and then we put it on a ballot and the numbers don't come until the last minute, we still risk losing
I think
something.
we're safe with that number, because just the numbers that I'm for construction have not gone up.
Okay,
The economy's just borderline right now. So when the economy is like that, that means that there's people hungry that are out there right now.
Mhm.
So it's true, and I've said it many times, we need to get a bid and get a firm number.
Yeah.
For the pool. Another thing that we discussed is that we don't want a patch job, but what we want to do is, when we take everything apart, we expose every pipe under the ground.
Mhm.
And at first they want to just patch the one that busted and let's go. You don't do that because you're messing around with the pipes. So we wanted to replace all the pipes under the pool, concrete that needed to be fixed, fix a liner, anything above water, which is your pumps and your motors, you don't have to replace those, because you can replace those when they go out. But the most important thing to do is fix them pipes so we don't have an issue like this again.
Mhm.
The last thing you want to happen is to put the pool together and one pipe that was messed up break again, and then here we are again, right? So that 3.5, 3.7, that's the number for repairing the pool with all the pipes brand new. So that right there is almost a guarantee, because if you do the pipes, you do the liner has a whatever lifetime it has, and do the concrete around there, I think would be pretty safe to say we got many, many, many years of service.
Chris?
Cool.
Thank you. I want to go back to Councilwoman Camp's question, which I think is a really, really good question. And I want to revisit a whole bunch of things that came around. First, I think that we need to get Angel a wet erase board so he can go through all the numbers. And I was getting lost there a little.
Give me a pen, I'll put it up there.
I really appreciated your question, because I think everybody wants to do this as quickly as possible. And I think we're all in pretty strong agreement that Othello needs a pool, we need it pretty quickly. But there is some challenges right now, and this was talked about extensively with the pool committee. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about those challenges and where that comes into play. Obviously, we don't have the numbers as of yet, but there is a financial aspect to everything that we're doing. And I think the city actually deserves a little bit of recognition and credit for some very difficult decisions that the mayor had to make right away. When we signed our fire contract, it was a little bit higher than what we had paid in the past. And we did not pass that cost onto you as increase in taxes. We had some room within our budget that allowed us to absorb those costs. And that budgetary spot was slack because it was planned maintenance and operations for the pool. Well, obviously, we're not doing operations and maintenance for the pool right now. So we had that money so that we could use that to pay our contract, to pay what was short on that contract and not increase taxes. I don't think the mayor has gotten enough recognition and credit for making that difficult decision. But the other side of that is it puts us also in a difficult situation with annexation. Because if annexation, we all hope it passes, but if it wasn't to pass and we started moving forward with the pool, we would not have the budgetary space as of right now to open and maintain a pool. So that has to be resolved before we can move forward on that, one way or the other. There's a lot of different ways we could do it. All those are going to take time as well. The quickest way to resolve this situation is to have annexation pass, free up our budgetary space on operations and maintenance, and go forward with the pool. I want to also talk a little bit about what Councilman Garza brought as far as education. It is not going to be a process of just education. It is going to be a process of input, which we really need from you. I think as much as we want to talk about the hows and the whats and the wheres and the hows, we want to also take in input from all you on the type of facilities that you want and make sure you guys understand all the options that are available to you all. When we talk about, well, we'd like this thing to be around for 15 and 20 years, I was talking to Councilman Barnes earlier and I went, I don't want it for 15 or 20 years, I want it for 30. That's what we want to build. We want to build something that is modern, up to date, consistent with everything that is required, and make sure it is built to last for a long time to go. And we're probably going to need a lot of input from you all on what you would like to hear from that. So the pool committee has made a commitment that we're going to get out into the public, multiple meetings, multiple town halls, to get that input and to get that information, and to hopefully be in the best place to give you all a bond that will pass and will provide you with a pool that will provide you with decades and decades of use for growth and success in this community.
I have a question.
Boy.
You guys did do that one outreach at the park right off the bat, where the board with the stickers, right?
Yes.
What were the results of that? Did you guys?
You know,
have it?
you just have to keep in mind on that, Councilwoman Carmona, that was a snapshot in time at that moment. And I think that if we were going to rely on just that, I don't think it was a big enough sampling. I think we needed a lot more sampling to really have an idea of what people wanted, the expense, what desire. Where you all can really help us out is, you know, what are you willing to sacrifice in your personal treasure for a pool, and how grand do you want that?
But I was just, sorry, the reason I'm asking, I was just wondering if it was enough data to maybe just get started to narrow down a secondary questionnaire that could go out?
I think
if it was
that
enough to maybe just
I
reduce
really appreciate.
a second round.
I think that this is where, again, we're going to have to get a lot of input. I think one of the realities that we have to face is operation and maintenance. So we did present a lot of options. There were 2 indoor options, for example, and a lot of people are excited about that. I don't think we thoroughly vetted out the operation and maintenance of that and the costs that would be involved in that. 20 years ago, an indoor pool was rejected because of the concerns of operation and maintenance, and we may not be beyond that point now, but this is where we need your input to tell us what you want, what you need, and what you'd be willing to pay for for again, for now and for the future.
So that's exactly what I was saying. When you get involved, the citizens, the public, you are going to get input.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're saying input for what size of a pool we're going to do, we're going to go back to square one. We've heard from many citizens, we heard in our meeting that they want this pool fixed, right? We can't go to a $4, $5, $6, $7 million pool because it's not going to pass. We tried it already, okay? Because the taxpayers are going to pay it. So what we have to come in is, I've heard from one of the coaches that they've traveled to many pools throughout the Columbia Basin, but what we had was awesome, okay? What we had was awesome. So if we're going to go start this again with what pool are we going to make? What size of pool? How, give them whoever comes in, people are going to want big stuff, right? Like what we had. And we had a good turnout at the park when we were there.
We did.
And we had a lot of positive,
Huge feedback.
from the citizens that they wanted a $20 million pool, right? Most of the stars were on that. But look at what happened. So I think we go back to the basics. Let's fix the pool. Let's get a number for that pool. As far as input, asking them, what size of a pool do you want? How huge do you want to go? We're just going to prolong this deal. That's what throws us into this mess all the time. Let's get a number for that pool and move forward. I will say this. We're at 9,600 for population right now, okay? We used to be 8,000. So even if we added 2 lanes to that pool, that would bring us more, that would fit us a little bit better for the growth that we have right now, right? So I would like to stay with what we have right now, maybe adding them 2 lanes, because we've heard from the citizens, we want a pool. My granddaughters have to travel to Connell every darn day on Highway 17 to go practice.
Yeah.
Do you think I want my grandkids out on 17? No, I don't. I want that pool fixed too. So whatever we have to do, not only my daughters, all their friends and whoever goes, for that matter. So let's get a number. Let's get a number and get this passed. Let's stop with, because if we bring the public in for input, there's a lot of us that don't give them an opportunity to say we want a $10 million pool, because we know, you said it ourselves, we know where we're at financially, right? So let's get this pool, let's get them in the water, and let's go.
So preliminary estimates from NIC, adding 2 lanes was roughly about $1.5 million, I believe. And, but this is also a timing issue. So that's why we're here. Unfortunately, speaking with NIC, if we put this on a separate ballot measure, when we put it out till November of next year, we will not see an opening until 2029 of the.
I have a logistical question about the ballots. So if you talk about the first option that's on there, which is 2 measures on 1 vote, logistically, is that something that we can even do? Because if you have that 1 measure about fire annexation and we loop in that we're
Retention.
keeping funds too, county and city are both going to vote on that, but county doesn't pay that city tax to us. So we're then taking a vote from county people on what we're going to do with city funds. So logistically, can we even do that?
I think there's
They're
a
separate.
separate ballot that
Separate
goes to county
ballots.
people that would not go to city residents.
We are asking.
Then it's a totally different
yes,
thing
we-
on
because
each.
we are asking for Adams County Fire District 5 that we join them. And the vote that will go to the current Adams County Fire District 5 or the county will be a vote for them accepting us.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
within their district.
Full
logistically,
ballot
then
would
we're
be
not
on theirs.
in an issue
Yeah.
with them both being on there with
Mhm.
county voters. So my second thing is, how do we make, how can we make this so that the county people have a voice in the pool too? Because there's so many of the county people, so many that are using the pool and on the swim team, and they feel like they don't even get to have a voice because it's only city people that are voting on it. And then what other options have we explored besides just a bond measure or this, like councilmatic bonds or sales tax or any of those other things? Like what other funding options do we have that can maybe get us in here before we're waiting for these ballots to drop?
Aaron? Oh, okay. Aaron had something to say a minute ago, but you might be able to answer Councilmember Camps.
One of the previous meetings, we talked about what can we do to bring in the unincorporated areas regarding the pool. And the common thread I got was in the future, developing a regional parks district
Yes.
and looping the pool back in and into that, which would bring in county residents.
Process for that, and what's the time frame for that? And
Right.
can we get that done since we have to wait for a February or April or August or some other vote anyways?
That would require 2 votes.
Yeah.
It would
To get
be
to that.
1 vote of the public to create this district.
Mhm.
Then it would be another spot on the ballot to.
That was,
Or Johnson.
Down the road.
It just prolongs it.
that would set us back 2 years or so better.
If I could, I think, I love your question on this. I think a lot of people go, well, 20 some years ago, we used the park district.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the park district, because it hasn't been utilized in a very long time, didn't get its necessary filings done, it is not a good mechanism to use right now. The bond rate that we get by using the park district like we did in the past is so inflated than just using the city. It is fiscally not work, we can't do it. So we don't have the infrastructure currently to engage with what you're talking about. We may have to end up in that place, but it's going to take some votes to get us to create that district so then we can use it. At the costs, it might be better and quicker just to do it within the city. We did talk about that. We did look at those. Spencer gave us lots of options, but none of them are quick. None of them are
Take
fast.
too long.
If what
I
I've
think that's
seen-
really important for people to know though, right? Because they have those questions and
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not information that's being.
No, it's a great
presented,
question.
and so it's
It was brought up.
information people need to know.
And Spencer, if I has spoken improperly on that, please correct me.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, there are a few different ways that the question that you bring up is a great question. If we can broaden the
Tax base.
circle for those that are going to be paying for this debt for the new pool, the more payers, the cheaper it is on each individual payer.
Mhm.
That's great. We can do that with property tax, which Councilman Dora was just talking about. To use the existing county park and rec district would be difficult because of lack of filings, that kind of thing. So there are other avenues. We can create a metropolitan park
Mhm.
district, which we'd have to have a vote to create it, then a vote to fund it. So that's 2 votes involved there. There's another sales tax option also, which would follow a very similar path. If we want to do a sales tax, we as the city can't just pass a sales tax 0.2%, for example, to fund this specific project here in the city. In the state of Washington, the Washington state gives specific reasons that you can increase, specific mechanisms that you can use to increase sales tax. For example, the TBD, the Transportation Benefit District, that's a specific mechanism that they allow us to charge up to 0.2% of sales tax to fund that specific operation. There isn't one of those for parks. What we can do, though, is create, if we want to go the sales tax route, is create a public facilities district, which is what the city of Pasco just recently did. And then that district can then pass a sales tax of up to 0.2%. But it's the same kind of thing with the Metropolitan Park District. We need 1 vote to create that entity, then another vote to fund it.
So just to clarify, the fastest way to get this done would be to put it on a ballot for a tax increase.
Within the city.
Within
The city, yes.
The city, that would be the fastest way to get the pool money.
Yeah.
If that's what we wanted to do.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And Could I add one other, because you asked about councilmatic bonds and, you know, they sound good. And I just, to remind you how those work is you have to take a portion of your budget dedicated to pay off those bonds. And so to do something like that, it might cost you other services. And I mean, the cleanest way for us to do it is to have our citizens support a bond. That's the cleanest and the easiest and the quickest way to accomplish that without losing services.
So we can do other things to involve the citizens that live outside of the city limits. The city of Pasco passed they funded their public facility district. They have a sales tax, but they also charge an increased rate for those living outside of the city. So if we have a property tax that residents of the city of Othello are paying, that county residents aren't paying, we can use that as a mechanism to kind of level the playing field there a little bit.
So the quickest way we could get something on a ballot is February. As far as dates, right? The quickest way, that's the first election that's open to us, right? Whether we're ready or not is a whole nother question, but that's the first time we could get something onto a ballot to actually get passed, because we've already missed the deadline for November. Is it possible for us to try and consider putting a bond and also creating, can we not do both? I forget what you called it, to do the sales tax thing.
Right.
2/10 of them.
Whatever it is that you just called it, to create.
The PFD.
Yes.
Public facility district.
Yeah. So could we not do both of those and create that? And then if the bond passes, then we don't do another vote to fund that, right? Like, what's the downside of creating it if we don't do another vote to fund it? And then at least we're that step, if the bond doesn't pass, where that step is done, and then we look at August to try and fund it.
Councilwoman Kemp, I think one of the biggest challenges we have is not knowing the disposition of annexation. Once we know where annexation is, we have a lot of questions answered like that. As soon as that passes, we suddenly we have actually an operations and maintenance budget that is back in our hands to use again. And we can drive it forward. One of the things I greatly fear about passing a bond before we have all our ducks in a row is annexation not passing, and we build a pool and we can't afford to open it. I can't think of a worse situation to put this community through than to be in that situation.
I think that the voters of Othello are smarter than that, and I don't want to wait 8 months to make a decision about it.
And just so they'll understand, because just so you guys can understand what Chris is trying to say, if the annexation does not pass, we're looking at 300,000, right? That's got to come out of the budget. And if the pool passes, just so you'll know, the pool, we're always on the red. It costs us $200, $250 a year to run, right? Spencer, what's the cost?
Probably
more or
more
less?
than that.
At least 150.
150,000 that comes out of the budget for the pool, because the pool does not bring enough money to maintain itself. So Chris is saying we're paying 300,000 and we're losing 150 here without the annexation.
Yeah.
But you guys are smarter than that.
I don't disagree. I think it's a real issue, and that would be absolutely devastating for the community. But I also think if we do our due diligence and we educate people, that the people that live here are smart enough to understand that they are completely separate issues and that we both need. And one is safety and one is for our kids. And I really feel like they can be separate issues and not actually war with one another.
This is the first time I think the public has heard these critical steps, but what needs to happen. I think we'll be successful this time. This is the first time they're hearing this.
I agree, because I have had several phone calls with different people over the last week, and I've shared the information that I've learned over the last few months, and it's information that none of them knew. They didn't know the process. They didn't know why people in the county couldn't vote. So it was all information that I had to get out, and I told them, you please share with your neighbor, please share with the people you know. Like, I can only reach the circle of people I know. So you need to reach the circle of people you know, and we need to let it trickle downhill. But I had 3 different phone calls this last week about these topics.
Mhm.
And I did do my best to explain, like, the fire services have to pass, regardless of what we do with the pool. That is like our number one thing. That's why we're concerned. We're not hearing enough from the people to know, are we risking our safety? And once I did get that information out, I do feel like a lot of the people I talked to were more willing to vote yes for both. And I agree, this is the first time a lot of people are like, I had no idea that this is where a lot of this is what's happening. So I do feel like, I kind of agree. I feel like if we just keep doing the education, there's a good chance both could pass.
I think the annexation will pass pretty easy because when we were battling with numbers with the fire department, you know, they did a lid lift for 25 cents
Mhm.
and they passed,
Instantly,
right?
yeah.
Because they know it's a need, right? I think with the city of Othello, it's the same thing for the annexation,
Mhm.
right? So do we separate the ballots, you know, or do we put them on the same? I think that's pretty much, it depends on the feedback that we get from the public, because we're the ones paying the taxes.
Yeah.
Right? So we can say, no, we want just annexation right now, we don't want the pool. But if they think, and the word gets out, that they want to put them both on the same ballot, we can do that. You know, that's why it's very important to get a town meeting together and let's hear from them. Let them know what it's going to cost them. Like I said, it's all about cost, right? If I can afford it, I want it.
And the explanation that Chris gave, if fire services fail, we pass the poll, now we have an operating budget issue. If that information gets out there, that makes it a lot clearer for people to understand what they're getting themselves into. But I do think it takes an entire 2 maybe sessions of doing these nights where we have to do like a Q&A night. And it's just these 2 topics. But I think we could be successful.
So, and that's why we're here tonight,
Mhm.
because we need a clear direction moving forward. If that's an option, if we want to retain some of that money, that 25 cents to increase it, we don't need the exact amount tonight or within the next few weeks of how much we're going to retain. We just need to know if that's the direction that we want to pursue on that. How much we will need eventually will come down the road, deciding on what the pool will look like or what we want it to look like in the future. But it does need to be very soon, because the firm that's working on selling this whole thing that's going to be part of the package that she sells. It'll be the part of the package of annexation and what else we're going to get with that. The pool construction, getting a new pool, if there's some left over, use it for other public safety issues. But we need a definite use for that, if that's the direction the council wishes to go.
Yeah, but when you said retain, it's not like, I mean, it's kind of confusing because we're not retaining,
No,
right? Because we're getting 65 already, and that's what we're paying the fire department.
Yeah.
So now it's not coming, the 65 is not coming to us.
We still haven't decided on
Okay,
that.
I know, and I'm just giving it, you know, kind of what's going on right now. So 65 is what the taxpayers paying. So we don't retain that, we give that back to the county, and then we add 25 cents and they send that to the fire department, right? So what it is we're gonna do a lid lift for the fire department, and then we're gonna do a vote for the pool. So it's another whatever cents it is for the pool. Because if we're gonna retain, we've talked about it quite a bit. When you retain, it kind of gets a little bit confusing.
I think,
or hold back
We
on
don't
back.
actually have to vote to retain.
yeah, we
That's the
can
thing.
decide ourselves amongst just council to
Council could
retain.
do that, but we want to take it to the public to make
Right.
this
And
open
then the
process.
lid lift would be for the pool, if I remembered correct. And maybe we've talked about it so
For both.
much. Or was it for both?
I don't think anything's
No.
actually a lid lift.
We're not doing a lid lift.
No.
Just to clarify,
Not for the pool, but for the
Yeah.
fire department.
the fire department's doing annexation.
Mhm.
And,
That
and,
is true
and,
for them.
all right, to explain this as simply as I can, the fire department is making, is expanding its district to include the city, to where we will be part of that district. And then as such, we will be taxed directly from the fire department by them. So currently, we're paying 90 cents per thousand, 65 of which was already budgeted and planned. And we have been using our operations and maintenance on our pool currently to make up the other half as a short-term fix to address this issue. So that's kind of where that comes in. If annexation passes, we are no longer going to be paying what we had been paying to the fire department before as a city. Now, in previous discussions, we talked about retaining some of that tax or giving what we were paying, which was the 65 cents, back to the taxpayers. And we can retain some of that and use that for the pool, but then that is a unilateral action without a vote of the people.
Right.
And that gets a little hinky for me.
Well, that would mean, so right now we have our 65 cents. With the annexation, the citizens will be approving another 25 cents to get that full 90 which
Correct.
is the fire contract.
Which that'll be on the people
If
if annexation passes.
we want to, you're right, yeah. If we want to hold back some of that 65 cents, let's say we hold back 25
Right.
cents of it. We hold 25 cents, then we give the remaining 40 cents of our 65 to the fire. Then we would have,
We're not giving it to the fire, we give it
No,
back to the people.
citizens.
you're sure, but the 25 cent increase on the citizens to pay for the fire would then be 45
45
cents, for
cents.
example.
Yeah.
something
It's the
like
same
that.
thing, guys. However you slice it, it's the same thing.
Except one is a unilateral action versus. a
Yeah,
vote
but
on
we're
action.
talking money here, what it's gonna cost the citizens. That's what we want to get across.
Yeah.
Because we can twist this as much as we want. And it's all about, what are they gonna pay?
I'm much
Period.
more comfortable with the citizens having say in how they're taxed and how that happens than us putting that on the citizens.
So I don't think that we'd be putting anything on citizens.
Nope.
The vote is still
The
complete.
property tax is going to go up significantly.
The
55 cents.
regardless of the route, the decision is completely with the citizens. It's just how clear is it?
We
That's
make
the
it.
problem.
If we join these two things together, it's harder to explain.
If
Um,
Councilman Sporer was here, we would need another wet erase board to go through the explanation.
We don't
he
want
would
that.
$5 for fire,
We did that a long
plus
time ago.
20 for the pool. Those are two different items, two different votes, easier to understand. Or we join them and it's 45 for the fire because we're retaining some for the pool. Regardless, it's the same amount that would be approved.
But if we don't retain,
But
it would
it's-
be 65 cents going back to the public to the property owners if we do not retain,
If,
that they can use against the 90 cents they're going to be increased in their
yeah,
taxes.
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
if we retain,
Tax them.
if we retain the
They're
25
separate.
cents, right? And then they're gonna pay 55 cents to make up the difference, 45 cents, right? If we retained 25 cents. Okay,
50, it would be
what are we
50.
gonna do with that 25 cents? Are we gonna put that towards the pool?
So then that's what it would be for. Yeah, that's
Okay,
what
the
we
same
would
thing
advertise.
again.
It's the same thing. Regardless of the route, I think we would get to the same end result.
Mhm.
It's just which way is more clear.
Yeah, and then you'd have to go for 15 cents to make up make it up to whatever is needed for the payment for the pool. Instead of, you know what I mean?
So that's the part that we would need to make sure is very clear
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
voters, so they know exactly what that means.
And we're all right. I would think we're all making the same point here is that the money, if the taxpayers agree, it's going to be the same dollar amount. The difference that we have to decide is, are we making that decision for them or are we putting it on a ballot for them to vote on how they want that 65 cents spent? That's really what we're slicing up here.
Well, the
It
25
sounds like
cents,
the
it gets,
community wants to, are willing to spend the money, is
But-
what I've heard.
the 25 cents that gets retained, Spencer just said, that goes towards the pool. So they're really, if we charge them 45 cents, they're already paying for it because we retained it. So
Right.
if that 25 cents does not cover the $200,000 a year, and then we go back and figure out what it's gonna cost us for that payment for the pool, and we might increase it instead of 35 cents, we're gonna be 10 cents. to make up the 35 cents, you know what I mean? Because we retain their money
Right.
and then, but this money's for the pool. It's the same thing. We just have to do it in an easy.
Disagree.
We don't need to twist a lot of stuff around when it's 25 cents here for the annexation, 35 cents for
It's 90 cents for the annexation.
Aaron, you got-
Right.
65.
So
65.
No, they're paying.
They're paying
Taxpayers
65.
are. We're not paying.
if I've heard this, I've heard it be explained a whole bunch of different times, and the answer is it's all the same in the end. It's just how it's explained, but the end goal is still the same. Whether we combine them both or whether we have them separate, the increase is still going to be exactly the same. So what's posed to the council today is how exactly are we going to do this? Are we going to want to combine it, or are we going to want to break it up into two separate votes? And how will those separate votes look like? Will it be separate votes on the same ballot, or will we do one time and wait for the other time? I think that will give us the best strategy moving forward, because if we decide on that, so let's just throw this out here. Let's say we decide we want them separated. At that point, well, now we know where our foundation is. And now we can continue to move forward. We can continue to talk with NAC. We can get that number. We can start the pushing out of messaging. If we want to do it on the same ballot, have two separate votes, let's say in April. Well, now we know. Well, we have till April to get everything together, to get our numbers together, to really push out an initiative to get both of these approved in April. We would need to know that. If we want to combine them, well, we need to know. That way we can do the same type of messaging to push forward in
Liz
April.
was completely against having two separate votes on the same ballot.
No,
Right? That's what it says. The
On the-
consultant was against this idea.
Yeah.
So when she was here with us, the option that was brought forward was both items under one vote, because that's what she was used to, and she said that she had success. I believe it was Councilman Doro that brought up the two separate votes on one ballot, and she particularly liked that idea at that time. When we had a meeting with her after that, we expressed the certain desires and concerns about that, and that was brought up as far as the two at one time. At that time, she was a little more against it because she felt as if there would have to be some dual messaging, dual educating, both on annexation and both on the pool. Now, remember, she's not the deciding factor on this. It's the council who's the deciding factor. If the council believes that we can do both of them at the same time and they want to rule that way, then we would push every effort as a city to make sure that happens. But I think for here, like I said, we need to figure out a direction.
Okay, we got about 7 minutes left, so.
It's so complicated because we have this additional potential funding option if the annexation goes. And we could actually just clean this completely up and say, look, let's do a bond for the pool that is totally separate. And then we do an annexation for fire and safety that is totally separate, so that people know exactly what they're voting for, and it's not complicated and it's not convoluted. And as soon as February, we could put a bond for the pool. I don't think that anybody is going to risk public safety based on what they voted in February about a pool when it comes around in April, because I have absolute confidence in the education of the public that Liz is going to be driving about annexation. And I think we've made it way more complicated than it
Yep.
needs to be.
I agree with everything that Councilwoman Kemp
Well, that's
said.
unusual.
And the other thing that I would add to that is it also empowers the voters to make that decision. And I think that really matters, that our voters are the ones who make this decision on how they want to spend their taxes.
So I think if I'm hearing everybody correctly, and if I'm not, please let me know. It appears as if we want two separate votes on this issue. We can always go back and figure out when we want to do that, whether it's February or both in April. Councilwoman Camp, we can figure that out. But for now, do we want them two separate issues and not the one combined? It sounds like we want them separated at this point. I don't want to speak for the council. That's just kind of what I'm hearing.
I know we're not taking a motion on it, but as a person who looks at the measures in your ballot collection guide, if we put both items in one measure, there'll be way too many words. People are going to ignore it and they'll just say, no, thank you.
Oh, mhm.
And we'd be doing ourselves a disservice by not keeping them separate. That way we can clean up the language, make it very clear to the voter. This is what we got for you, yay or nay. I think, my opinion, we should have two separate measures.
Same.
And then leave it to the voters. They're here, they're telling us they want it. When it comes time to vote for it, you know what you have to do.
And tell your neighbors.
Yep.
We're friends.
Okay,
So when it comes to actually passing a bond, you need 60%.
yes.
60% of returned ballots, right? Because February is traditionally a fairly low
Low
turnout.
turnout.
Returned.
So is there an also threshold of number of voters that need to turn out as
There
well?
is. It's not hard to hit that.
I was gonna say, how
We
low is
traditionally
that
hit that in Othello.
in February?
I don't think we've missed that threshold in decades.
Okay.
Because you also have
That
to
would
do
be
that
my
with
other
the
thing is if
levy.
there's a threshold and we're looking at a complete,
Ooh.
like, whatever the lowest thing would be.
Well, the
I
bond
really
almost
appreciate
passed
your
last
question
time with
even
minimal
more.
education.
It was like 54.
I think one of the things that we do want to look at as well is timing of levy votes and things like that. Again, there is some strategy that you want to play on that and how things are going out, and you hate to complicate that situation, but that can be figured out. We can talk to the school district. I see a school board member out there that I'm sure could help us with that real quickly. So
Another thing is that we have to, well, word of mouth, that we really have to have pretty much, not all the people, but people vote. Because I think last time we had, out of population that we have 8,000, we had 800 that voted, right?
Mhm.
So we need a vote. Yes.
Mayor Johnson, I'm hoping at the end of this workshop, we have given you ample direction. Do you need anything else from us on this process?
We have clarity on a direction that
Mhm.
we need to start to pursue. We will start to discuss this with Liz Loomis also. So it will give her clear direction on the fire annexation process also.
Perfect.
Okay? Any further discussion on this? Really quick, I'm going to ask the audience, I'm going to have public input on our next regular meeting. By a show of hands, how many people plan to speak during public comment? Okay, it will just
That's
give me an
manageable.
idea for the timing on that. Okay,
Let the viewers online know that I'm gonna stop the meeting and restart it, so they'll have to get back.
okay. For those people watching this online, we will stop the video feed for a little while, and we will restart it for the upcoming meeting in 2 minutes. Okay, this meeting of the special council meeting is adjourned.